Biden administration, they have a national strategy now, a new one to counter anti-Semitism. And we do commend them for that. Now, unfortunately, the current strategy stands on foundations that our next guests find deeply flawed. Joining us now, the former U.S. Secretary for Education for Civil Rights under Trump and Bush, Ken Marcus, and the managing director of the Coalition for Jewish Values, Rabbi Yaakov Menken. Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you for coming on. Ken, I want to speak to you first. Why do you think that this strategy could potentially do more harm than good?
It's good to be with you, Christina, and I also commend President Biden for the idea of having a national strategy, not an original idea. The European Union did it 2 years ago. Their plan was strong. This plan is weak. It has some nice language, but no real substance. If anything, it actually is something of a retreat, capitulating to Biden's left-wing supporters and weakening in some areas our work against anti-Semitism.
And Rabbi Menken, you tell us that the strategy reflects the Biden administration's continued just really severe preoccupation with white supremacy and right-wing, quote, anti-Semitism to the exclusion of all other forms. Now, why do you think that this is misleading?
Well, first and foremost, go look at the New York City crime stats and the random attacks on Jews that are being perpetrated there. 97% of them are coming from people of color. So the idea that this is all out of white supremacy is how you hide from anti-Semitism instead of really fighting it. This administration could have stepped forward with a policy that continued actually under Mr. Marcus, when he was working in civil rights and others in the State Department were working in civil rights. The administration stood firmly behind the IRA definition of anti-Semitism, which includes boycotts against Israel, for example. And every rabbi who's trained in traditional sources recognizes that economic warfare against the Jewish community is the first sign of anti-Semitic bigotry. And yet this administration has also given equal credence to a second definition of anti-Semitism designed specifically in order to hide it. Even while the document says itself that if you cannot identify the problem, you cannot begin to fight it. If they wanted to identify the problem, why did they muddy the waters?
Well, then also, Ken, the fact sheet that the administration released, it flaunts commitments from the Council on American Islamic Relations and the Southern Poverty Law Center, not to mention Al Sharpton's National Action Network, while not one Orthodox Jewish organization is included. I mean, how frustrating is that?
Well, it's very frustrating. There were Orthodox Jews involved in this process, but the choice of partners may be a tip-off that the substance really is not there, and that a significant part of what this document does, and again, it does have some good aspects, but a lot of what it does is to dilute the approach that we have to anti-Semitism. It says that it embraces the strong approach that President Trump had, but that it also welcomes and acknowledges a much weaker approach. And in that sense, it actually takes a step back. It is less forceful and less strong against anti-Semitism than the U.S. policy had been previously.
I mean, there's been so many hate crimes recently. You would hope that it would be more. But thanks, Ken Marcus and Rabbi Menken, for coming on this morning. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good to be with you.